Welcome to In the Loop Breakaway, a podcast that is inspired by the breakaway roping lifestyle. I'm your host, Jordan Jo Fabrizio, a full-time cowgirl, entrepreneur, and breakaway roper at heart. My goal is to promote the sport of breakaway roping, along with celebrating and highlighting elite competitors in and out of the arena. This podcast highlights the raw, real, and the truth behind the box of the breakaway roping industry, bringing you behind-the-scenes stories of what real life looks like every day, from breakaway ropers, cowboys, producers, leaders of the sport, trailblazers, and all of the like, all sharing stories of what the Western culture and lifestyle they live every day looks like. Join me to talk about breakaway roping, the history, the present, and the future of our sport. If you want to be in the loop, you're in the right place. Thank you for joining us. Take a listen. Okay, guys, today we are here with the champ, Doug Champion Living Fitness. Doug, thanks for coming to the show.
You betcha, Joe. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Christmas Eve. Can you believe it?
Come on now. Yep.
I can't believe it. It just happens so fast after the NFR every year. Like it just, NFR, get home. Oh my God, it's Christmas.
Well, and it doesn't seem like Christmas because it's nice outside.
It's warm. I'm in Denver and it's 60 degrees during the day right now. The mountains are getting dumped on, but the Front Range, we haven't seen snow in over a year.
Yeah, I know. I think they said here in Amarillo it hasn't had any rain for like 75 plus days.
It's exactly where we're at. It is wild.
Yeah, so it's like everybody's doing Christmas, but it doesn't seem like Christmas. So anyway, it's been nice. You've been getting to rope a lot, so that's been good.
Hey, that's always a plus.
So wanted to talk about, just a little bit about everything you do, but we're gearing up here at Champion Living. We're talking about our goals. We're getting ready for 2022. We're talking about fitness, emotional, mental, physical. So break it down. What do you guys do at Champion Living Fitness?
Yeah. So what we do, our bread and butter is individualized coaching. And what that means is we're writing fitness and nutrition programs for the person and not just the goal. So for instance, you go or online, you see an ad that's like, lose weight here, lose 20 pounds. Those workouts are written theoretically if somebody had an able body and could move well to help them lose 20 pounds. They don't take the individual into account and where that person is today, what their skill level is, what their experience is, what their lifestyle is. So a lot of times those plans don't work, or someone will try it. It may have short-term success, but then it's no long-term success, right? We're all about teaching the long-term. We want to make a lifestyle change with this, right? We want to teach you how you can make small, consistent efforts every single day. And whether that's working out or recovering or whatever it is, there's efforts you can make in the whole grand spectrum of it that make a long-term change. And we're seeing a ton of success with it. It's awesome. Our clients they're changing who they are. We're seeing better versions of them come up every day. And it's been probably one of the most rewarding things that I've been able to be a part of. But break it down, keep it shorter than longer. Individualized coaching. We focus on the person, not just the end goal. And we help you find out how to get to that end goal with setting the goals, like you were saying, in small, consistent steps that are like, it's great to have those big goals, but it's really easy to fall off of that once the like motivation is gone. The I'm fired up about it is worn off. You have to be dedicated to something to make it work. And a lot of times you just make those big goals. You don't have the small little checkpoints, benchmarks to get there. And that's where we come in. So we help everyone set their goals, set attainable goals. And then we're constantly helping everyone stay accountable, checking in, texting, that firsthand. If you don't check in, I will be texting you, calling you. What you doing?
Really
Why aren't you working out? I really am.
Alone. I don't want to. So I know firsthand, like when I saw you guys, I saw you specifically on the Cowboy channel. And I remember sitting in my living room thinking, you know what, like maybe I'll try that. I don't really have time to go to the gym because my day is jam packed or I'm traveling. And so me being, first and foremost accountable to going to the gym every day doesn't look attainable. And so I'm like, well, I can do this from anywhere I want to do it. I'm going to try this guy. And so I remember when we first got on board you're like, well, what do you want? I'm like, okay, I don't want to be big.
I don't. I just want to be fit, and I remember, one of the cool things about, and it's a little awkward at first, but cool things about Champion Living app is you send us our workout and then you walk us through it, right? So you're like, okay, I want you to do this, this, and I want you to record your last set. And I'm like, oh my gosh, record my last set. What do you mean record my last set? I don't want to record it. So I remember like trying to find a place I could sit my phone. This is before you had magnets on the back of your phone. Sit my phone to where I'm like, okay, in my barn, I'm laying down on this yoga mat, trying to do these stretches. My horses are spooking. I'm like, well, this is so crazy. Why am I doing this? And 2 years later, I feel the best I've ever felt, physically, mentally, emotionally, and so thankful for that. But it looked way different when we started. It's just like little bits of, hey, I want to work out 2 to 3 times a week, and I don't, I thought, oh my gosh, she's gonna kill me. I don't think I've ever left there just maybe a few times like balled out sweating, and then the next day you can't even walk. So I love the fact that you meet each athlete right where they're at. Like I was like, well, this guy's a roughie. He has no idea what I do. I'm a breakaway roper.
About breakaway roping.
Yeah. So I thought that was really neat how you met me where I was at physically, then I got to where I was like, hey, I want to do more. I want to learn more. I've learned so much about my body, my nutrition, everything, like, and it all ties together. We think it doesn't, but it does. And so one of the coolest things, like I said a little bit ago, I was like, I don't want to be huge. I don't want to get muscles. I laugh because, and I think it was a few months ago, I texted you and I was like, I want to get ripped. Like, I want to be huge. I want to be strong. And I want my legs to be bigger. And so, but like now I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to be strong? I have to have a good core because we have to get in the front of our saddle like 2 seconds or faster,
Yep.
I have to be strong in my legs. I have to be strong in my arms. So break it down for me a little bit about what you go through with your athletes individually and like how maybe a breakaway roper is different from a calf roper or a saddle bronc rider or bareback. Tell me, how do you formalize your plans, each individual workout for those people?
Yeah. So we're taking from the very beginning, day one, everyone, no matter who you are, whether you're someone who's never worked out before or someone who's been at the Olympics, you're going to do an evaluation with us. It's extremely easy. It's basic, but you'd be surprised with how many people say that they are, I'm an advanced athlete and cannot do these things well. And that's a problem. So if they can't pass the evaluation, we work on those foundational things to get them to where they can get past those and move on to the things they want to do and help reach their goals. But evaluation is the biggest thing. And not to get off topic, but anyone who, even if it's not me, if you hire a coach and they do not do an evaluation, fire that coach. Do not do that. They've got to find out where you are. So we do the evaluation, we find out where that athlete is. And then based on their event, based on their body, their weaknesses, everyone has strengths and weaknesses, right? You and the next breakaway roper could be like similar athletes, but they're very different, right? We're working on different things. So we also take into account especially with the rough stock events, but I mean, anything in rodeo, there's injuries, right? You've been injured, things have happened. We find those haven't been rehabbed that great. So we do a little backpedaling with that, take some steps back, make sure those things are taken care of and back to working correctly. And then we can get into these full chain movements. But to get back on pace, per movement per event is how we break everything down. So as a breakaway roper, I'm not a breakaway roper, but I've talked with you a million times about the sport, right? We go through and if I don't know the sport, I'm calling my athlete that's been doing it and knows it. And I'm like, all right, tell me and like show me how. I remember
you asking me like, okay, where do you feel like you're strong? Where do you feel like you want to improve? And tell me about it. And I had never really even thought about it, and then walking me through that helped so much.
And we just break it down step by step. And it's crazy to see how many different movements are in each event in such a short amount of time. Like you're crossing so many different ranges of motion and twisting and all these things throughout it, but that's a different discussion. But so we break it down per event. Through the assessment, we're going to figure out where you need to improve. and then we're going to continue to improve the places that you're already strong. They differ in the sense of injury prevention is a lot more increased on the rehab or the rough stock side, and steer wrestlers, calf ropers. Like I'm constantly working on knees, ankles, hips with those timed event kind of athletes that are like more on the rougher side, have to get off and have contact with an animal. On the rough stock side, we're definitely working on all of those, but we're also working on neck, traps, really making sure that we're taking the neck's the biggest thing. And the riding muscles, we're going to work on with every single event, obviously. Adductors, abductors, groin, hip flexors, that whole group that controls that, right? And I hammer you with that as well, but it helps you get in that position that you need to be in the front, like you're saying, for your horse when you're roping, and all the other events, squeezing your rigging, squeezing in the bull riding, keeping your feet moving, bronc riding, squeezing your swells. I mean, you have to have those for every single event.
Well, and you break it down, like when you start talking about that stuff, I never really understood how much I use those muscles, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Totally.
Absolutely. Yeah. And no one really does until you do break it down like that, and say, hey, this works together. This is A, B, and C happens like as one. They can't happen individually, essentially is what I'm saying. And you do well. Does that make sense?
Right. One of the best things that I really love, but I like about the process is I remember when we first started going through this, I had some issues with my back and my knees. And I texted you or called you. I was like, hey, like my back's hurting, my knees are hurting. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I've got to stop working out. I've got to, I can't do this. I don't want to hurt myself. But then you're like, no, absolutely not. Like you've got to do this and this and this. And it helped. And I continued to do it. And, like old mentality, I'd have been just like, nope, I'm stopping. I'm not doing anymore. But now I've learned like you have to work through that and you have to help your body work through that. And it's different, for everything, it changes throughout but we stopped doing what we're doing and we started putting rehab and stretching and mobility and stuff in there. So talk a little bit about that and how you've incorporated that from like the traditional, just like you think about workout and you think about like sweat and blood and all the nasty things.
Yeah. We definitely changed the mentality of that and what we do. And I am firsthand, I've done that blood, sweat, and working out deal. Like I did the competitive CrossFit for a good while and tried to make the CrossFit games, and I've puked in workouts more times than I can tell you. Like I've been there and done that. And it's just not the way that gets the right results that last. It'll blow you up and it'll get you hurt eventually. So when we saw that, and I had a spine surgery, so that was my biggest thing that woke me up to this kind of.
Yeah, you broke your back, right?
Yeah, the horse flip over with me in Estes one year, and just freak deal. And she got my back, collarbone, and ribs all at the same time. So
wasn't that nice of her?
Yeah, just she was a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So once I did the rehab for that, though, I realized that that type of working out is not going to work. I'm never going to be able to sustain that for any amount of time, and it hurts most of the time after I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good sign to anybody working out. If you're in a lot of pain after, that's no bueno. We do not want that. So I really started adjusting how I looked at fitness, and instead of trying to be the strongest and the baddest mofo in there, I tried to be the best moving person in there and really slow things down and make sure my technique was perfect. And it just translated into that gets you to be the strongest dude in there. Like if you focus on the basics and the perfect technique, you're gonna that all the other things are just gonna follow. And that's not just for the gym, but rodeo, life, anything.
Everything.
If you get the fundamentals down and follow those things perfectly, it's probably gonna go pretty damn good. You're not even have to think about those things that you quote unquote wanted or whatever.
Well, and I know we had that conversation the other day, like, a big part of your plans are the focus and the tempo. And so like it might, like on our workouts, it'll say like 1, 1, 1, 3, 1 second down, 1 second at the bottom, 3 second hold, or whatever it may look like, different for every workout. But I was like, I really need to slow down, and I don't want to slow down because I'm worried I'm not going to keep my heart rate up. And you're like, no, dude, slow down, stop it. And I got so much more out of every workout going slow and doing it correctly. And I have noticed so much of my strength and just my balance and everything, it comes together, and you feel like a hoss when you can do some of these
Mm-hmm.
stretches or mobility or whatever in slow motion and have like one arm and one leg off the ground and still be in an upright position and not hit your face, which at first you will hit your face. But it's cool to see the progress in that.
Mm-hmm. No, it all comes together, and stability is a huge part of our training program, because you have to be stable through those small joints and ligaments and all those things that hold you together at those main parts, shoulders, knees, ankles. There's a lot of tiny things that go together there that those big movements don't get. And also, if those tiny things are not working well, you're going to suck at those big movements because your mobility is going to be off and things like that, which gets us back to, we add the mobility in at the end of every workout, because you have to send that response to your nervous system to relax and to let those things start recovering and opening up. And that's the biggest thing we see, and not just breakaway roping, but almost every client we get has a lot of mobility issues. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just because of our society today. That's how it is. We sit down all the time. We're on our phone constantly. We're driving. That all rounds us forward, neck bending forward, shooting forward a lot. And I find I'm on the computer all the time. I find myself, my neck kills me because I just push my head out there for some reason, trying to look at the damn screen. I don't know. But I'm just, it's just the world we live in today. So we have to combat that and try and get everything to set back and get those postural muscles set and get them opened up so your chest can actually open up, so your back and lats can actually work. Then we're going to try and get your hamstrings loosened up so your back's not so tight. Get the glutes, IT bands, hips, everything loosened up, and it's all tied together. And once it all settles in together, then once you start moving, you have that big mind body connection, which you're talking about. You can feel yourself actually like pressing every muscle and tendon while you're doing these movements, and you're contracted as one. And that, if you focus on the tempo, and you have to count the tempo and count the reps and breathe at the same time, dude, you're going to be breathing way harder, and your heart rate's going to be probably way harder or way higher than you would ever be trying to do 20 reps for time.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't even compare, because the amount of time under tension that you're going through, if you go 20 reps as fast as you can, you're getting like, you're under tension for like maybe a quarter of the top and then a quarter of the bottom. Like you're breaking the tension a lot. So the lack of you're not getting as much recruitment through the muscles that you're using. You slow it down. You have to squeeze your core, keep your chest up, press your ass back, press your thighs apart, squeeze. I'm counting 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, what rep am I on? Like, I know you've been there, because I still do that. I've been doing this for 10 years and I still lose count. And that's good though. It's a way different stimulus, and it's a way different intensity than people are used to, but it propels you so much further than that mentality of like kill in the gym. And that's also the thing with most rodeo events are very intense.
Yeah.
Almost. And timed events can practice, right? Rough stock events, practicing is much more minimal, just because of the risks and things like that. But you walk into a gym, there's no way in hell you're ever going to recreate that intensity, especially in a rough stock event it just won't ever happen. So guys going in the gym, girls going in the gym, just going hard as hell, trying to recreate that intensity they would have in the arena or at a rodeo it works backwards. Right. It makes you move poor. It makes because you're moving poor, you're probably causing more like friction and things in your joints, ligaments. You're causing more wear and tear, which is not the goal. We want to leave the gym feeling good.
Yeah.
And the place to do that kind of practice is in the sport specific practice time. So in the arena, when you are practicing, the gym is meant to take those things that you need to be strong in the arena and transfer them to there. They're not meant to be done in the gym, if that makes sense.
Well, and I didn't know you could feel good after leaving the gym. That's one thing I've learned with Champion Living. But secondly, I want to talk about the mental part of it. Like when you are doing just like what you're talking about, like you're focusing on the tempo, you're focusing on the reps, you're focusing on your balance, that's mentally strenuous. And so I've sat down, and as I've thought about it and as I've worked with you over the years, I start to think about, okay, I'm back in the box. Like as I'm doing this, like I'm in the box. I have to see this. Like mentally training myself while I'm in that strenuous position. Like this is no different than when you're in the box. Like you got to hold this for 20 seconds. like you got to still breathe. You can't just
Mhm.
hold your breath because then you pass out. I mean, same in the
Yeah.
box. And so I've tried to incorporate that with my mental training part of roping, and it has helped me tremendously because you're under huge amounts of pressure. Plus, you're counting the time. Plus, you're still trying to focus. Like it's really not different than when we back in the box. And so that's helped me a ton just grow and when I back in the box, know like, hey, I'm still breathing, I'm still focusing, I can feel my feet, everything, and just that's helped me tons. But one thing I want to talk to you about, and I know you get this a lot, and it's really big on my heart. When you get women, girls, young women in your training program, how do you navigate through the old traditional, like, I don't want to be big, my body, I want to look this way? Like, how do you teach girls or women or whoever's in your program, like, hey, your body is just like me. Like we work on different things because my body's built. Like I have a short upper body, everything's different and it doesn't look the same. So how do you help girls work through that and learn to love their bodies and love fitness?
Well, that can be a process, but it just, again, it starts off by taking them where they are. So, and everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have a little bit more trauma when it comes to those things, or not have it, and that just depends on where you were brought up and the environment you're brought up, and who knows what one person's been through. But we just find out where they are, find out the things that do trigger those kinds of those thoughts where like I need to be toned. I need to be skinny. I need to be, I hate how I look. Well, whatever it is, we're just making those small steps every day. And the
Yeah.
biggest thing with this is when it comes to working out and eating is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Our nutrition is 90% of how we look. I always say what you metabolize is what you look like on the outside, right? So
Yeah.
whatever you put in is how you're going to look on the outside. So if you're eating a lot of processed foods, low quality foods, probably not going to look as like you want to. You're kind of have softer build, more body fat, things like that. If you're eating
and one thing I want to say, two things I want to touch on. One thing I love about this program is, like you said, we meet you where you're at and we do this lifestyle change together. Not every day is perfect.
No.
Nobody is perfect. And you have met everybody right where we're at. Like, hey, I'm struggling. Okay, no big deal. Take the day off. Hey, like, this is where I'm at, and working with me and everybody else and the clients to get to where you want to go, and working with you through it's not like, hey, you have to do this, like crush it, holler at me at the end of the week. No, it's like every day. How'd that feel? Hey, I'm feeling this. Okay, let's do this. Like every single day, if you want, you're tweaking something with your clients. And I love that. Secondly, I didn't know you could eat so much and lose. Like I have to make myself eat now.
Yeah.
And because I know, like, hey, and the craziest part to me was like, okay, when I learned about macros and I learned about the protein, all this stuff, you have to eat so much protein to even get like 1,500 calories.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard to get that much protein. It's like, okay, I'm planning out my day. Like, how am I going to eat this much? Especially on the road, like preparing and stuff. But like, I eat more now than I ever have. And, there was like probably 4 or 5 months where I had lost, some weight. But now I've started where I gain weight, but I lose inches. Like I'm gaining weight because I have muscle and I've lost inches. Yeah, I'm skinnier. Yeah. And people are like, oh, you don't eat. No, I eat all the time.
I know,
like,
fool.
This is all I do much. That I eat. Yeah. And Raymond's like, he told me the other day, you are like a bottomless pit. You eat everything in sight and you don't gain weight. And I'm like, champion living fitness. I don't know what to say. Like, drop it, work out. But yeah, so learning about that culture, learning about the nutritional part, I had no idea, and it changed my life.
Like I said, it's 80 to 90% of what most people want to see in those goals that they have, the losing weight, looking shredded or looking more jacked or whatever it is. Eating is a huge part of it. And I have, for instance, I have some clients that were in Vegas. I had a lot of clients that were in Vegas,
but some that were not like 80% of the clients in Vegas.
Some that weren't competing. They were media. They were doing talk shows, things like that. They were not able to work out that whole time. And my buddy was kind of freaking out about it. And I was like, man, we're going to focus on your nutrition. I just want you to be intentful about it. Make sure you're having snacks. Make sure we're focused on the protein. He gets back home and goes, dude, I'm 2 pounds lighter than when I went and I feel great. Like nothing happened. I just focused on my food and I didn't work out once. And I'm like, man, fitness is important for the body, right? You need to put some kind of physical activity in. But honestly, if you really dialed your nutrition in, most people would see the changes they wanted big time and quickly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the whole culture of us, we walk you through it, dude. And we show you how we actually can solve these little problems that you have, eating on the road. We send you the whole list of fast food options. And we tell you, by no means is this the best option, but if it's the only option, for sure, eat something on this list.
Well, that's my golden list. Like you did that. You sent us hey, you go McDonald's, Whataburger, chickeny, Taco Bell, whatever. This is what you can eat. And then on top of that, you sent us a food list to go shopping. That changed the game for me. Because I was like, I get what you're saying, but what do I eat? And you guys helped me through that too, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. And that's something that we know that people have a hard time with that because we've been there and done that. So we try and make it as simple as we possibly can for people and we just don't make it too sexy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's just not this, that shit sells, I guess, but it doesn't work.
Right.
The basics work and we know that. And so we put together our fundamentals, we spread them to all of our clients and it's been received really well and you guys have had a ton of success with it.
For sure.
It's been really cool to watch.
So I want to talk a little bit about your team. So getting into Champion Living Fitness, you have built an incredible team of awesome coaches. So, and everything looks a little different. I know you are so stacked with clients. So like, yes, you will probably be doing the initial consulting, but as far as everything else, like you have a huge team. So talk a little bit about your team, how you've built that and what you've looked for across the board.
Yeah. So I have a badass team. I'm just so thankful for them. They are the reason that we are able to do what we do and help as many people as we've been able to help. So, starting off with Logan Corbett, he professional bareback rider. He was the rodeo coach in New Mexico State for a couple of years. he lives over in Illinois with his wife and 3 kids, and he got certified in personal training, I want to say 2 years ago now. Me and him had known each other through rodeo. I had started this Champion Living Fitness, was just doing it by myself, and was getting to a point where I was like, it would be really nice to have another person on board. And Logan had reached out randomly one day, and he's like, I just have some questions about coaching. And we just started talking. And I was like, hey, I think that you should come coach with me and we should do this. And he's like, cool. So we just kind of jumped in and did that. And then we brought Lloyd on. I met through Logan. He is a bull rider. We believe a high school state champ. And where was he from? Maybe it wasn't Illinois that he did high school rodeo. I believe he lives in Arkansas now. We're all over the place.
Yeah.
But he's been personal training again for a handful of years. He had his own business started up when we met, and he was doing the exact same thing that we were doing. And like, why not just, join forces and let's just do this all together. And we brought him on. And then we met Tyler Bunton, which is another bull rider from Colorado State. He has been personal training for 3 years. Again, had his own little business doing the same exact thing that, we were doing with the same vision. Reached out. We all just decided to, again, work together and make this one thing. So then I got the girls, and I have Jessica Bragg, and she is an athletic trainer. She works up in South Dakota now for a high school, and she has just gotten her personal training certification. So she is our associate coach intern, and she is coaching people, but we are helping her coach throughout the whole thing. So she's been an awesome addition to our team as well. And then we just got Taja Mccann. She specializes in rehabilitative services. So it's massage therapy, PT, things like that. She's also a certified personal trainer. She'll be coaching as well, but she is our lead female coach right now. And then we have Justin Bickford on our team. And he is our physical therapist on hand. He is the doc.
He's the doc.
He's anything that it is not included in the training services, but if an athlete has a problem, my shoulder's killing me, my knee's killing me, and it's not something that I'm like, okay, you need to go get an MRI or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a service that you can hit him up on, and he can telehealth, get you on, a Zoom call and take you through an evaluation and give you exercises and help. And he's done it with a couple of my clients so far, and it's worked great. And I believe it's $100 a session. So, just cash and easy going. But yeah, that's our team. They are outstanding. We have a great vision as a whole I think we all just want to inspire the world, but we really want to change the Western world. Cowboys, ranchers, farmers, show them how to be healthier, how to live longer, how to do their jobs better and longer and not be hurt forever. Because that's the biggest thing we're seeing is a lot of the, guys in their 50s or women in their 50s and 60s, we worked hard and there hasn't been a lot of attention paid to themselves physically, nutritionally, which is, I don't know why that's gotten skipped, but it has, and it's funny to me that farmers and ranchers literally have the best quality of food out there, but don't know how to eat it. Like, don't know that, like, it's crazy. So we really want to change that, and we want to help as many people as we can, and inspire as many people as we can to be better for themselves. And I love rodeo.
rest stop, I'd be walking up to a slack or perf or whatever, and you'd see somebody doing some mobility, and I'm like, "Yep, that I've done that. I did that
He's with
today.
Doug.
Champion living. Yep." And so I thought that was really cool to see too. But so tying it all together, we're at 2022. We're going into this stuff. We're gonna make this year great, break records, change the tone.
Mhm.
What advice do you give setting 2022 goals, mentally, physically, emotionally? Like, what are some of the goals that you're going to set and advice to obtaining, what you want to get out of 2022?
I think that we're at a really cool place in rodeo and the world, because I feel like rodeo is making this rebound back to a lot more people are paying attention to it. I think that's due to shows like Yellowstone, the PBR, and things like that are getting a lot more attention, right? So people are fired up about rodeo, and our biggest goal is to spread the word and help people
Thank you for joining us on In the Loop Breakaway Roping Podcast. We appreciate your loyal support to our podcast. Don't forget to leave us a review, share with a friend, and if you have any questions, email me, Jordan@intheloopbreakawayroping.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you down the road.